This is Carlton, part of the ITV network.
Linford Christie fails drug test, but insists he's clean. Lawrence Dallaglio is put in the dock over his drugs charge. NATO chooses a Briton to lead it into the new millennium. And a birthday night out to mark the Queen Mother's 99th.
From ITN, the ITV Nightly News with Katie Derham.
Good evening. The sprinter Linford Christie, suspended from athletics for failing a drugs test, insisted tonight that he'd done nothing wrong and was going to clear his name. Christie, former captain of the British men's team, tested positive for the banned steroid nandrolone. Traces of the same drug got the Scottish sprinter Dougie Walker suspended, and Christie said he wanted a full investigation into why athletes were testing positive for it. Here's Peter Staunton.
Dortmund in Germany, a minor indoor meeting in February with major consequences for Britain's most famous athlete. At 39, his serious running was long behind him. This was purely for pride. The up-and-coming youngsters he trains had teased him that he couldn't beat them anymore. He made his point on the track, but the routine drug test which followed has now landed him in the biggest battle of his long career. At his London home tonight, the athlete has been protesting his innocence.
I thought it was a joke. You know, I always seem to think these things are jokes because, you know, when you know you haven't done anything and someone tells you that, I mean, you think it's a joke, and then when you realise it's true, then you go into a little bit of shock.
There's now serious concern about the number of athletes testing positive for nandrolone, a muscle-building steroid which also helps recovery after injury. Some doctors won't accept the results of tests involving the drug because they claim they're flawed. Dougie Walker, the European 200-metre champion, was suspended in March after testing positive for the same drug, nandrolone. He was cleared last week. That followed Diane Madal's long and expensive fight against suspension 5 years ago after failing a test which showed an abnormally high level of testosterone in her system. An appeal panel reversed the ban a year later. The current British team captain is confident Christie will be cleared.
Dougie Walker's been acquitted of the same substance that has been found in Linford Christie, so I don't think it could be that serious because he was acquitted. So they have to look into it and find out why, you know, our athletes testing positive.
It's a very trying time, I'm sure, for him. We're trying to treat the athlete as we would any other, which is to be fair, to be innocent until proven otherwise, and we're going through the procedures as quickly and as efficiently as we can.
Christie's always campaigned against drug taking in his sport, fighting and winning a libel action last year when John McVicar accused him of taking performance-enhancing drugs. Once again, the '92 Olympic champion is determined to clear his name, however long it takes.
My shoulders are broad, you know. I come through it, I always do, you know, and I think the truth will out. Once you're innocent and you haven't done anything, you know, the truth will come out. You know, whether it's now, this lifetime, or someday, someone will know that, you know, God, I didn't do it.
For Christie's sake, and for the sake of British athletics, it's hoped that day will come sooner rather than later. Peter Staunton, ITN Sport.
It's 11 o'clock, and in case you've only just joined us, we'll have a summary of the main news, including Linford Christie's positive drugs test, later in the programme. Still with drugs in sport, the former England rugby captain Lawrence Dallaglio is to appear before a disciplinary panel to answer the charge that he took recreational drugs on the Lions tour of South Africa 2 years ago. He's also accused of bringing the game into disrepute, but was cleared today of other allegations. Hal Jones reports.
The allegations that Lawrence Dallaglio took drugs have been scrutinised for 10 weeks, and today the Rugby Football Union decided he should face a disciplinary panel.
The disciplinary panel would adjudicate on 2 charges. 1, that Lawrence Dallaglio has brought the game into disrepute. 2, that Lawrence Dallaglio took recreational drugs during the British Lions tour to South Africa in 1997.
The News of the World claims that Dallaglio took ecstasy and cocaine during the British Lions tour of South Africa. In a written statement today, Dallaglio said, "I categorically deny the charges, but I will be cooperating fully with the panel and look forward to bringing the matter to a conclusion as soon as possible." On the one occasion he did speak publicly about the affair, he said he'd been naive to talk about drugs.
I did lie during the course of the discussions with reporters, and I can give you no sensible justification for doing it.
Soon he'll explain his side of the case to this High Court judge, Sir Oliver Popplewell, who'll chair the disciplinary panel. Tonight, officials at the RFU have confirmed that Dallaglio will continue to train with the England squad, and the pressure's clearly on to conclude his disciplinary hearing before the World Cup squad is announced in less than 4 weeks. Howell Jones, ITN.
The Defence Secretary, George Robertson, was duly appointed Secretary-General of NATO today. Mr Robertson, who starts in Brussels in the autumn, said the alliance faced a 21st century of trouble and turbulence. Here's our defence correspondent.
Mr Robertson's appointment was a formality once Tony Blair had secured the support of Presidents Clinton and Chirac, putting the Defence Secretary into one of the most powerful jobs in the world. His appointment confirmed, Mr Robertson told a press conference why he thought he'd got the job.
A combination maybe of straight talking, plain common sense and a dogged determination to get to where I think is the right place to go, perhaps was an attraction.
Mr Robertson's tough stance in the Kosovo crisis, his warm ties with Washington and his astute management of the Strategic Defence Review to modernise our armed forces were all factors which impressed NATO member governments. And he's seen in Brussels as someone who can handle controversial issues.
Developing a relationship with Russia, or peacekeeping, or even going to the length, as we saw a few weeks ago, of dropping bombs on Yugoslavia. And therefore you need somebody who can explain why all of this is necessary.
Mr Robertson's move means there will be a by-election in his Hamilton South constituency in the autumn, and possibly the wider cabinet reshuffle, which failed to materialise last week. Kevin Dunn, ITN, at the Ministry of Defence.
Viewers who buy set-top boxes or digital televisions could soon be paying an extra £19 on top of their existing TV licence to fund the BBC's digital channels. The proposal is expected to be announced tomorrow when an independent inquiry into BBC funding releases its findings. But commercial digital broadcasters are angry at what they call a poll tax on technology, in which they've invested billions of pounds.
As in the past, when you had to pay an extra licence fee, for example, when people traded up to colour, so now if you trade up to a different type of service, you will pay extra for the privilege of having digital. The question of those who oppose that is, will that put people off getting digital? The people who are running digital in competition against the BBC say, if you do that, people won't take it. So you are being anti-competitive.
The Queen Mother rounded off her 99th birthday celebrations tonight with a visit to the theatre in London. She went with the Queen, as ITN's Nicholas Owen reports.
The birthday lady in London this evening, arriving with the Queen to see a play that is older than her, though not by much, one of Oscar Wilde's masterpieces. It's just the sort of old-fashioned but popular entertainment the royal family loves. So, a night at the theatre for the Queen Mother, at the end of a pretty hectic day by anyone's standards, especially if they've just turned 99. This morning, the Welsh Guards serenaded the Queen Mother at the start of the traditional public celebration of her birthday. A chair was offered and declined. A long line of children formed outside Clarence House to hand over cards and flowers. For more than 60 years, the Queen Mother has been a walkabout expert. Discreet offers of assistance today were rejected. One walking stick was sufficient to steady her as she moved off, accompanied by a corgi, to see adults who'd waited hours to see her.
Thank you very much.
I hope you have a lovely day, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
So lovely to see you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Some were obviously here in previous years.
From the garden, ma'am, as usual. As usual. As usual, yes.
In Hyde Park, a 41-gun salute to mark the most senior royal's arrival at her 100th year. Outside Clarence House, the loyal corgi may have been feeling weary, but the Queen Mother was on her feet for a full half hour before her specially adorned golf buggy was called into service. The well-wishers included one lady who's a whole year older. What is Ada Brown's recipe for such long life?
Hard work and good food.
That's the secret to get to your age, is it?
Yes.
Well, good food and drink the Queen Mother certainly enjoys, and just before lunch today, her family gathered around. Princess Margaret apparently recovered after her stroke and badly scalded feet. Prince Harry having a grand time. And the towering figure of Prince William, with a great-grandmother who finally accepted it was time to sit down. Nicholas Owen, ITN, Clarence House.
There's been a mixed reaction to proposals today to allow working mothers and fathers more time off with their children. The government called them family-friendly and claimed that more than 1 million parents would benefit. Ros Childs reports.
The Trade and Industry Secretary launching new parental leave plans. The measures include the right to 13 unpaid weeks off work in a child's first 5 years, an extension of maternity leave to 18 weeks and time off to cope with family emergencies.
I want to get away from the situation where a working parent often has to choose between being a good parent and perhaps giving up a promotion at work or simply holding a job down.
But business leaders are concerned about the workplace implications.
If these burdens on business that some of these regulations do bring, if they do mean that these businesses can't function anymore, then those families may not find they've got any jobs left.
Business representatives will be consulted before the measures are due to come into force in December.
Juggling work and family life is a constant dilemma for parents. The new proposals may give them more opportunity to spend time with their children, but businesses, especially small ones, say they and not the government could end up footing the bill. Ros Childs, ITN, West London.
The European Commission today threatened legal action against Germany if it doesn't lift its ban on British beef within a reasonable time. Just 2 days after the first British beef was stamped for European export, the German government said it wasn't satisfied the meat was safe. Tonight, Russia said it had no intention of lifting its ban on British beef either. And there have been more signs of growth in the economy. Figures released today show that high street sales in July increased at the fastest rate for 18 months. Despite that, interest rates are expected to remain unchanged for the second month in succession when the Bank of England announces its decision tomorrow. The countries of Southeast Asia are tonight still battling with exceptionally severe monsoon floods and their aftermath. The rains have triggered landslides, in just one of which, in the Philippines, there are now 12 confirmed dead. ITN's Tom Bradby reports.
In Manila, the rainwaters have made even the land dangerous. An ominous rumbling sound was the only warning residents of this housing estate got that the building they lived in was about to collapse. It was the last thing many heard. Rescue workers toiled through the night and on through the day, often in heavy rains, to free those trapped in the wreckage and buried in the mud, their efforts hampered by a lack of heavy lifting equipment. Officials said they warned residents of this estate to get out, but were ignored. Local people said today the death toll was likely to go on rising into the night. On the Korean peninsula, the army was out in force, using helicopters to rescue those stranded on high ground and muscle power to clear up the urban streets, mindful of warnings of further rain to come. Many Koreans have been enraged by their government's efforts so far. This is one of the region's major economies, and they feel the response has been totally inadequate. Tom Bradby, ITN.
The monsoon floods in Southeast Asia. Now football. West Ham are only one step away from a place in the UEFA Cup after an Intertoto Cup win tonight against the Dutch side Heerenveen in Holland. They beat them 1-0 to make the aggregate score 2-0. The Hammers' winning goal tonight came in the 25th minute. Frank Lampard fired a 30-yard shot, which was saved by the Dutch keeper, but immediately followed up by Paulo Wanchope on the rebound. So, confirmation of that score. West Ham beat Heerenveen 1-0. They're now through to the finals of the UEFA Intertoto Cup. And in an untelevised match, Rangers beat the Finnish team FC Haka 3-0 in the UEFA Champions League and are through to the third qualifying round against Parma. Tonight's main news again. The sprinter Linford Christie, who failed a drugs test in Germany, has strongly denied he's done anything wrong. Another top British sportsman, the former England rugby captain Lawrence Dallaglio, has been formally charged with using recreational drugs whilst on tour. And the Queen Mother has rounded off her 99th birthday with a trip to the theatre. She and her daughter went to see Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest. Tonight's financial figures, and the FTSE 100 index closed down more than 15 points. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones closed down 2 points, and the pound closed 0.25% up against the dollar. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's newspapers. The Mirror leads with the Linford Christie story. It says that Britain is in shock after the athlete tested positive on 2 drugs tests. And the Express has the same lead. It quotes Christie as saying he'll clear his name one way or another. It also shows Lawrence Dallaglio now facing a charge of bringing rugby into disrepute over drug allegations. The Daily Telegraph claims that Camilla Parker Bowles has tonight joined Prince Charles and his 2 sons on a cruise in the Mediterranean. The 2 princes are pictured with their great-grandmother earlier today at the Queen Mother's birthday celebrations. The Sun has the same story, and it reports that it was Prince William's idea to invite Camilla on her first family holiday with Charles and his sons. And The Times has a report on what it calls the dangers of letting very young children watch TV. American doctors claim that too much television can stunt children's growth. And that's it from ITV's Nightly News. Julia Somerville will be here with the ITV Evening News at 6:30 tomorrow. But from me, good night.
Hello, good evening. Well, things are certainly turning unsettled over the next few days with some rain around, but at least in compensation, temperatures are still looking warm, in fact, above the normal. So as far as tonight goes, it's very much a case of following the band of today's rain as it heads ever northwards, as far north as the south of Northern Ireland there. The odd rumble of thunder thrown in as well. Dry ahead of that with some mist along coastal fringes and some misty conditions further south as well. Temperatures in northern parts tonight are pegged at around about 10, but a very muggy night further south, 15 or even higher than that. So we go into tomorrow morning, we see the band of rain into this sort of position, dry ahead of it, the odd glimmer of sunshine, the mist slowly but surely burning off further south. During the course of the day, that band of rain heads ever northwards, fizzling out, fragmenting as it goes. 1 or 2 heavy bursts still, though, and behind it, drier, brighter weather pushing up from southern parts. Quite a range of temperatures tomorrow, quite a split, in fact. We've still enjoying a 25 there in the Western Isles, ditto in areas further south. But where we see that band of rain, well, here temperatures are more depressed, struggling in some instances to make it to the 20 mark. That's all from me.
Power Gym. Power, whatever the weather.
Now there's a remarkable new antiperspirant that's made to give you incredibly strong protection. But this antiperspirant isn't for men. It's designed for women. You see, the surface of a woman's skin can be more alkaline than a man's. This new antiperspirant works in harmony with a woman's body chemistry. It's designed differently. It works effectively. It keeps you incredibly dry. What is this remarkable antiperspirant? Its new secret. More than just strong. As strong as a woman.
Cheetah?
No, that's a leopard. There's one on a 200 rand banknote.
No wonder we're the UK's biggest provider of foreign exchange.
Rhino small notes, leopard large.
So don't just book it, Thomas Cook it.
South East Ford dealers present the Great Ford Summer Drive. Featuring the Ford car at £6,995 with 1 year's free insurance. Plus power steering and driver's airbag. Now on at your nearest South East Ford dealer.
At B&Q you'll find all kinds of showers. Mixer showers that use hot and cold water straight from the system. Electric showers that heat the water as you use it. Power showers, where the water is pumped to keep the pressure constant. There's a wide range of enclosures and screens for you to choose from, and all at low B&Q prices every day. Like this shower tray and enclosure for under £180.
You can do it when you B&Q it.
Thorpe Park 4D test running.
The UK's first and only 4-dimensional experience is now open at Thorpe Park.
Your 2D telly can't show you how 4D works. But as you can see from this test, it's good, clean fun for the whole family. Call the Thorpe Park Family Ticket Hotline now.
Daily Defence shampoos and conditioners help protect your hair from everyday stresses. We put them to the test. Against hard water, against blow drying, against UV rays, and against pollution. With a protective shield of vitamins and sunscreens to keep your hair looking shiny and beautiful. Clairol Daily Defence. It's hair care for the real world.
Now, as a denture wearer, you can eat what you like and taste nothing but the food. Taste what's on your plate, not under it, with new Polygrip Flavour Free.
Buy your currency from us and the only commission you'll pay is a simple £2 flat fee. And we don't even expect a postcard. Be nice, though.
At Sainsbury's, you could pick up more than you thought, because you now have the chance to become a millionaire in our free prize draw. Sainsbury's, making life taste better.
Greg, the violence suffered by Sally Webster in Coronation Street was fictional.
You're nagging all the time, you young kids!
But for many women, this is a reality.
Get off!
What can be done about domestic violence? I'll be reporting on Tonight with Trevor MacDonald, Thursday, 10 o'clock.
Good evening, I'm Katie Haswell. This is London Tonight. Police are investigating an explosion in East London. It tore apart a telephone box earlier today, damaging nearby vehicles and shops. The aftermath caused traffic chaos for commuters near Romford. Louise Bevan reports.
The remains of the phone box blown apart in the explosion lie strewn across the pavement. Exactly what caused the blast isn't known yet, but the force of the explosion sent debris flying over a wide area.
About 4:05 this morning, there was this almighty bang. And I ran outside, see like sort of a haze of smoke everywhere, and then noticed that the phone box was totally obliterated all over the floor.
Forensic experts have been sifting through the debris, trying to find clues which could establish the type of device which was planted and who might have left it there.
There was no warning given to police about the device, and no one has contacted police yet to claim responsibility for the incident. Although there weren't many people about, the consequences, should someone have been driving past, would have been horrendous.
It's too early to determine what sort of device caused this explosion. The motive too is unclear. At 4 o'clock this morning, this street would have been deserted. One line of inquiry will certainly focus on the telephone calls made to and from this phone box in the hours leading up to the blast. In Romford, this is Louise Bevan for London Tonight.
A man's been found dead in a scrapyard in Camberwell. Police were called to the scene in Minute Road, where the victim's body was found beneath a crane, the death being treated as suspicious. A North London man's been remanded in custody in Cyprus after a nightclub brawl left a 28-year-old chef fighting for his life. 30-year-old Gavin Gallimore, who's from Southgate, is accused of punching the victim before banging his head into the bar. The controversial M11 Link Road in East London's finally opened. Its construction's been marked with a series of demonstrations by eco-warriors. Last month there were angry scenes when protesters staged an alternative opening ceremony to the road project. Christopher Peacock reports.
The first section of the M11 Link Road finally opened today. A police car led the first vehicles through the Wanstead underpass. It proved to be one of the most controversial link roads ever constructed. Green protesters attempted to thwart every section of the route being completed. The message got through with the public, leaving the government wary of building new roads.
It will take traffic off the local roads in the area and put them onto a purpose-built road, thereby providing an awful lot of relief to an enormous number of people.
But sisters Vera and Grace Raindle, who live in the path of the new link road, say it's ruined their lives. They can remember when it was a country lane.
It's been so lovely, beautiful trees they've taken, the bushes. All you do now is the bricks and mortar round.
It's a white elephant. I mean, the money they've spent on it, what advantage is it?
The link road will mean the area around Wanstead High Street in Cambridge Park will now be free of through traffic. The remaining section, bypassing Leytonstone and Stratford, is due to open in the autumn. At Wanstead, this is Christopher Peacock for London Tonight.
The DJ Tim Westwood pulled out of this month's Notting Hill Carnival because of continuing fears for his safety. The 41-year-old Radio 1 broadcaster was gunned down in a drive-by shooting 2 weeks ago. He's been a regular performer at the Carnival for the last 10 years. A former Labour minister is under fire for opposing plans for cheap housing near her South London home. Joan Ruddock used House of Commons writing paper to pen her objection to the scheme in Lewisham. Our political correspondent Simon Harris reports.
It may be an eyesore, but Ted O'Hara's Builders Yard in Lewisham is worth more than £300,000 as a property development site. When he agreed with the Housing Association to build 9 low-cost homes, he thought no one would be more pleased than his neighbour, Labour MP Joan Ruddock. He was wrong.
I personally feel that she's hiding behind the objectors for her own needs, because the proposed entrance is opposite her own house.
The Lewisham Deptford MP and former CND leader wrote to planners on House of Commons notepaper objecting to the scheme. The Conservatives have accused her of an abuse of her position as an MP and have complained to a parliamentary official. Joan Ruddock wasn't at home today, but in a statement said that both in representing her constituents and her own interests, nothing has been done that is unusual. Other residents who opposed the development believe Joan Ruddock was simply doing her job.
To be perfectly honest, we have actually put her under a lot of pressure, the neighbours. We've been all writing letters to her for well over a year now, putting her under pressure and asking her if she would actually do something on our behalf.
Ted O'Hara says council officials initially supported his plans and he can't understand why they were turned down. He'll now try to build 4 private homes on the land. In Lewisham, this is Simon Harris for London Tonight.
Organisers of the capital's Millennium celebrations are reported to be seeking sponsors for Big Ben. A proposal for logos to be displayed on the clock tower is now being discussed. And that's it from us. We're back in the morning. Until then, have a very good night. Bye-bye.
Weather is sponsored by Amarada, the energy company.
Hello, good evening. There's some rain around at the moment, some of it quite heavy, and we've even got the odd rumble of thunder. Sticky, muggy overnight. Temperatures held at 19 or 66 in the city itself. Into tomorrow morning then, and we can follow the progress of that band of rain moving northward slowly but surely. Brighter weather tucking in behind. Temperatures rising slowly. By afternoon, a high of 25, 77 in Fahrenheit. The wind in turn making them feel a touch fresher. More in the way of sunshine, drier, brighter weather by afternoon. And now a quick look ahead to the all-important weekend. Friday and Sunday ought to settle into fairly pleasant days, dry with some sunshine around, but Saturday a more unsettled feel because we are expecting a couple of showers as well. Temperatures though still looking warm. That's all from me. Here's our weather summary. Good night.
For a more detailed 5-day outlook, call Weather Update, sponsored by Amarada.
This Thursday on a special American Pie edition of Videotech, we talk exclusively to Puff Daddy, Whitney Houston and Lenny Kravitz.
My heart was always with like rock and roll and soul.
3 of America's biggest recording artists talk to Videotech this Thursday at 11:30 on ITV.